Hey there, Hopeful Tribe. So this week we discovered that Canva has a recording studio. So I decided to play around with it and record our video on Canva this week. So this week I want to do an exercise with you from a book called Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix and Helen LaKelly Hunt. You may remember a previous video where we explained how to do a relationship vision. This is from that same book. So this exercise is particularly about creating safety and trust in your relationship. So I want you to imagine your relationship is represented by a rectangle with perforated edges. So just like this one in the picture. And so the open spaces are exits. So these are all the inappropriate ways that you seek safety, gratify your needs, or drain the energy from your relationship. Use an exit to act out your feelings rather than talking about them. So an example of an exit that I might use in a relationship if I don't want to deal with the situation is when I go to take out the trash, I might take like as much time as possible to take the trash out and like spend time talking to like every neighbor around rather than maybe deal with a situation. So they could be small things that on the surface seem innocuous, but if you're doing them to create space or avoid talking things out with your partner, these are the kind of things we're talking about, the times when you exit rather than communicate. So other examples of exits are maybe you stay late at work, or you spend like a huge amount of time on video games. You spend a huge amount of time reading or abusing substances, or anything that you do to primarily avoid your partner. Exits, as I said previously, are a way to act out your feelings rather than put them into words. As an example, it's easier to stay late at work than tell your partner that you feel unhappy. So, because you have an understandable reason maybe for staying at work. You are, not having enough money, or maybe you guys do need extra money, so you're spending time at work. But if you're doing it to create space between you and your partner, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about here. Okay, so I want to talk about the four corners of the rectangle. So this is actually a square rather than a rectangle, isn't it? But the four corners of the square. So these rounded corners, these are what Hendricks and LaKelly Hunt call catastrophic exits. So they're any time that you're thinking about exiting your relationship by a more permanent means, such as suicide, divorce or separation, murder or insanity. So these are huge catastrophic exits, and they're not what they're huge exits, and they're not what we're really talking about in this video. Um, but if you're thinking about any of those, you should definitely seek help if you're thinking out things that are like would cause you or your partner harm. But in this one, we're talking about the non-catastrophic exits, and I will include a link in the description about what to do if you're considering a catastrophic exit. But right now, I'd like you to take out a sheet of paper or open a document on your computer, and I want you to make a comprehensive list of the non catastrophic exits that you may be using in your relationship. Again, there are things like substance abuse, staying late at work, spending too much time with the children, instigating arguments. It's anything you do primarily to create space between you and your partner. And like I said about staying late at work, it's the same with spending a lot of time with your children. Well, there's good reasons to spend a lot of time with your children, but if you're reading like 15 books to the kids as a way just not to be spending time with your partner, that might be something you want to look at. So you can hit pause on the video here, and go ahead and create your list. So here's a mirror exercise that you can do now if you're watching along with your partner and pause, or you can do it later. So basically, once you have this list, and if your partner comes up with a list, you're going to share your list with your partner. And for each part of it, you're going to do this mirroring exercise. So, for example, partner A, in sharing from the list, might say, I'm aware that I bring work home for the weekend, and I do that because I'm afraid to spend time with you and get into conflict about something. So your reasons may be different, and you're also the thing that you're doing that's the non-catastrophic exit might be different. But the main thing is you sharing it with them and then making sure you share something about what's behind it. Like often there is a fear behind it. It's I'm afraid of doing this. So a partner A is going to share it, and then partner B is just going to reflect it back to them, saying you think you bring home work from the office because you're afraid to spend time with me. Did I understand that correctly? And then if they didn't understand you correctly, you're going to correct them and say, no, I meant this, until you get to a point where you have understanding between each other. So again, that's an activity. If you're with your partner, you can pause and do it right now. But if you're not with your partner, you can come back to this later. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you're going to look at your list and you're going to put a check mark by the exits that you're willing to eliminate or use less frequently at the present time. And you're going to put an X by those exits that you think it would be difficult to change. For example, one might be, you're reading 10 books to the kids. You might put a check mark by that if you're willing to maybe read 3 books to them and then go and spend time with your partner. Um, and you might put an X by maybe staying late at work because you guys really do need money at this point, and staying late at work is an important thing. So just figure out which ones you can eliminate or do less, or the ones that are going to be more difficult to change. Now you're going to create an agreement, and again, use your paper. Use the other side of your paper, and you're going to write out the following agreement, filling in the blanks. So starting this week, insert whatever this week's date is, rather than, and then here you're going to insert the behavior. Let's say it's staying at work. Rather than staying late at work, I agree to ask for a dialogue to talk about why, insert the behavior, I am staying late at work. Due to whatever your fear is, maybe my fear of getting into conflict. And yeah, you're just going to write out this agreement that starts this week using one of the things on your list. And instead of doing that behavior, you're going to keep this commitment. And if you feel like staying late at work, instead you're going to go home and talk to your partner about why you felt like staying late at work. That is the end of this presentation. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed seeing me use Canva. Give us feedback in the comments as to whether you liked it or whether you didn't. It was kind of fun. Take care, Hopeful Tribe. Until we see you next time, may you remain loved and hopeful.